Okay.
Yardımcıyla, eksine yardımcıyla. Ben isterim o tarafta kalsın görünme var.
Okay, our rector is here. Let me introduce our rector, founding president, Professor Hüseyin Bagirov.
Are we going to start? No, not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, we can start now.
All right. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Should we go ahead?
Yes,
Or-
please.
Okay.
Okay.
So, dear participants of webinar, dear partners, we are pleased to see all of you here. We are indeed grateful to AppliedHE Education Exchange for partnership for this important dialogue. In terms of increasing competitiveness, the issue of graduate employability acquire great importance. Today opening such a dialogue is crucial because the future of graduate employability is rapidly changing in the term of globalization. It is obvious to have closer look on the future of graduate employability, and we should carefully review the existing issues of it. It is a well-known fact that one of the main graduate employability issues is that many students don't get any work experience during university life. From other side, over specialization of different subjects creates situation where students get a lot of separating different boxes, knowledges, but they don't have holistic vision of future place of themselves in selected profession. I presume that one of the main reasons and scores of that challenge is existing gap between academia and industry. From one side, an expanding amount of knowledge available to internet and cloud and opportunities for teachers to teach what they know. And of course, for both academia and industry, are way to go in terms of improvements of graduate employability. I hope that this meeting will set the stage for sharing interesting views and ideas. So I wish successful work for all participants during this webinar. And I would like to give panel to Representative Ministry of Higher Education, Mr. Nijat Mehmedli, who is advisor to Minister of Education, Science and Education of Azerbaijan Republic.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rector Hüseyin Malim. Thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I'm very delighted to be here with the distinguished speakers and to discuss such an important topic for our world, I believe. So, of course, I could talk about what we are doing currently as a ministry with regard to providing career development or guiding our higher education institutions for future employability. But in general, I would like to touch on a specific philosophical maybe question is maybe we should consider the current development or reconsider current development of higher education in the world. So for a very long time, from outside of higher education, the higher education institutions are considered to be a place that nurtured knowledgeable person for almost all aspects of life, regardless their specialty, their very narrow field of study. In fact, actually, there was even not a great variety of these fields. But even 100 years ago, when first and second industrial revolutions happened in the world, some Western European classic universities were still discussing whether they should teach, for example, Latin, music, or say literature, classical literature in the university, rather than teaching special fields, which is very necessary for industry. But just recently, universities became a place where usually considered to be a place where students are prepared or should be prepared for workforce, for labor market. But most recent development in the world that we are currently seeing actually proven that the keeping world order, keeping world a safe place, needs to have active actually citizens willing to participate in the life and actively participate in all aspects of life. And this is very important for the higher education institutions. So should we focus only on the preparing and nurturing students with very hard skills, which is necessary for labor market, or we should also focus on the general skills that prepare active citizens, which is very important. Another important issue that we have to think about is the, of course, soft and hard skills. Soft skills is very important since for a very long time, in the context of Azerbaijan, we all know that we still have a legacy of Soviet Union where soft skills has very less focus on the education and higher education institutions. But soft skills now is very important, and along with such skills as critical thinking, problem solving. And if we do not provide our students, our graduates with such skills, with soft skills, it means that we also create a situation where we will not have a person that will in the future provide their own life. And lifelong learning is very important in our context, which means that only by providing the soft skills, we can also provide them skills that will further in their life provide them with the lifelong learning skills, which is very important, I believe. Another challenge is that universities are no longer single labor force supplier. So we all know that such newly established institutions like Coursera, edX, or these kind of platforms, or even formal and informal, non-formal education, are providing with skills that is in some cases even more necessary and more demanded in the labor market than formal higher education or undergraduate education for 4-year and etc., which completely changed the game. And we need to reconsider how we can think in these terms about the work readiness, about the employability of graduate students, and particularly graduating from higher education, which is very important. Just very shortly, I was in the United States very recently, a week ago, and I met my old friend there who migrated from Azerbaijan to the United States. When he was here, he was just, very simple person working with, kind of daily jobs and trying to survive in his life here. But when he got there in the United States, he took just 8-month IT courses. Now he is invited to one of the companies for IT job. He had never had this kind of skills before, but of course he was a kind of person with very good soft skills, which is, for example, he was a very communicable person, and etc. And he developed himself now as a person in IT field. So it means that even without formal higher education in frame of the university walls, people are still able to develop their careers for the labor market. And I believe that this kind of very important topics will be discussed during today's webinar. Once again, I would like to thank you, organizers of this webinar, for inviting me, and best of luck. Thank you.
Founded in 1991, the Western Caspian University has a remarkable history and special position in the field of education in the Republic of Azerbaijan and the region. The university is distinguished by the quality of education, innovation, theoretical knowledge, experience-based curricula, and unique projects. For 30 years, with the participation of leading researchers from around the world, the university has been creating platforms that address issues of regional and global relevance by organizing international conferences, research projects, and events. Every year, the Western Caspian University organizes seminars, lectures, and practical classes of specialists from universities and research institutes and international organizations around the world. Examples are the 2019 International Conference, Mountains, Cultures, Landscapes, and Biodiversity, and the Spring School of Biomathematics, with the participation of professors from the Danish Technical University and the German Center for Dispute Resolution. The university offers long-term and short-term study abroad programs, many of which are funded by scholarships. The university's international network covers more than 200 educational institutions. Cooperation implies teacher and student exchanges, as well as joint projects and research. West Caspian University has been successfully implementing a dual degree program with UBIS University in Switzerland for many years. The material and technical base of the university are the modern and unique laboratories, various centers, and the High Technology Park. They all play an important role in the organization of quality and practice-oriented education. Educational instruction at the university is carried out in Azerbaijani, English, and the Russian language. The curriculum and the various classes, many of which are taught by foreign specialists in an international environment, often require a high level of mastery of foreign languages. The library of the Western Caspian University is one of the richest libraries in the country for English language literature. The library fund is regularly updated with the latest electronic and printed literature. The university also hosts a UN library. Various innovative projects and Olympiads are organized by the Technopark of the university. Here, along with theoretical knowledge, students have the opportunity to gain practical skills, as well as the opportunity to turn their ideas into reality. Initiatives are collected in the Technopark's Idea Bank, formed in the prototype and business incubation centers, and finally supported to reach out to investors. Student life is not just about education. Various sports competitions, intellectual games, entertaining events, excursions, etc. all add color to student life and make it unforgettable. Western Caspian University. The future inspires us.
Thank you very much. Now, we would like, as a host, we would like to give the floor to the CEO and the founder of Applied Higher Education, to Ms. Mandy Mock. Thank you very much, Mandy, for organizing such a crucial, important topic. And the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Can you see my screen? Great. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to a very special edition of AppliedHE Exchange, this time focusing on employability and on Azerbaijan. My name is Mandy Mock and I'm the CEO and founder of AppliedHE. We are very delighted to present this event to you in collaboration with Western Caspian University, one of Azerbaijan's leading private university. AppliedHE is a relatively new name in the higher education sector. We are the new kid, but we are built on more than 2 decades of experience. At AppliedHE, we focus on employability and student experience through our rankings and ratings, and we help higher education institutions connect better with the key stakeholders, including students and alumni. Today provides us with an opportunity to share what AppliedHE has to offer and to provide you with deeper insights into the all-important discussion on employability. So thanks to our gracious host, Western Caspian University, our wonderful panelists, and thank you, our audience, for attending. And on that note, I shall start my presentation about the new kid in town, who we are and how we can help you and your university with our innovative solutions. So AppliedHE was launched on the 1st of January of 2020. We're still very young, and being young makes us nimbler, hungrier, and more sensitive to your needs. We have produced AppliedHE as a fresh, modern, and totally relevant concept in global benchmarking and branding of higher education institutions, offering solutions that are focused on employability and learning. Plus, you now have an alternative choice for what is currently available in the market. We are a globally oriented higher education evaluation and branding company that is rooted in Asia and aims to positively disrupt the global higher education sector. And our strength lies in reaching out not only to academics, but also include stakeholders from industry, civil society, government, students, parents, alumni, faculty, basically everybody. AppliedHE is the new brand for all skills-based employment-focused higher education. And our mission is designed to help universities to communicate with stakeholders, engage with international and local peers, industry and governments, and brand institutions worldwide, including improving in the rankings. And our vision is to be the dominant brand that empowers employability and lifelong learning. We have created many original products and services to meet all higher education needs, from building reputation to getting international students, etc. For ease of understanding our range of products and services, we have summarized it into 2 categories. They are evaluation tools and global branding. A key part of any internationalization strategy is recognition. So we have 3 rating systems, which is an effective and affordable marketing tool, and they also work as a benchmarking tool to help you understand your stakeholders better. It's extremely useful to have a stamp of approval from an international ranking or rating organization, which communicates quality to prospective international partners and students. Here's the 3 rating systems to meet your benchmarking and global branding needs. We have the all-round job-ready rating to evaluate the quality of teaching and learning and employability of your graduates. It's organized around 22 employment clusters. So what this means is it can put a spotlight on every program that you have. The job-ready rating is the silver bullet that meets your institution's quality assurance and branding needs. We have an English-ready rating to evaluate the quality of English language instruction in non-English speaking countries. It's also a great marketing tool for the recruitment of international students. And the online-ready rating, which helps your institution benchmark and promote its online programs and courses. These tools can easily translate into affordable strategies for global branding and marketing of your institution. Coming back to the job-ready rating, I mentioned that it is organized around 22 employment clusters. This is the employment clusters adapted from the International Standard Industrial Classification. There are 22 of them, so the job-ready rating can cover all sectors of the economy, and this list is growing daily because the world is changing so fast that there are many jobs out there today that never existed in the past. Jobs like these, e-commerce, gaming, coding, social media marketing, influencer, blogger, just to name a few. And these are not even proper words in the past, but today they are reputable and very much sought after jobs. And our unique approach to rating by employment clusters can accommodate these new jobs and the future economy. We're now in the development stage with a few countries to roll out a job-ready rating. For example, we're in talks with members of SARUA in South Africa to not only do a job-ready rating for all their member universities, but also for their vocational or TVET sector. Imagine the branding and marketing message that we can tell the world that your institution are job-ready. How powerful is that statement? Not to mention the connotation that these 2 words can do for your institutions. Job ready, the name speaks for itself. We're also in discussion with the Philippines and Saudi Arabia. All of them aspire to brand their universities and be positioned as job ready. The second category of our products and services is all about global reputation, and another word for it is branding. That includes ranking and networking. Rankings is, of course, one of the fastest ways to get your brand out to all your stakeholders. We have just launched in February this year, the AppliedHE Private University Ranking ASEAN. And we're now in the process of preparing the AppliedHE Private University Ranking Asia Pacific to be launched in 2023. The AppliedHE Private University Ranking is tilted towards teaching and learning and employability, which are the main strengths of private universities. Now, we all know that private universities are often highly innovative, high-quality institutions that serve a large group of students, but they're often undervalued in other research-heavy university rankings. So we are evaluating private universities based on their key strengths, and we hope to shine a light on this often overlooked sector. We also produced a world university ranking called the Rankometer. The first Rankometer was launched in January of 2020, and the second Rankometer was recently launched this year on the 21st of July. What is the Rankometer, you may ask? Well, it is a composite ranking of the world's 5 most influential world university rankings. Graduate employability, or GE, is a key concern among higher education stakeholders, including parents, students, and the government. We put a lot of focus on graduate employability, which is why we aspire to present the Graduate Employability Index in each individual country. This is still work in progress, but right now we've completed the graduate employability for Malaysia and the graduate employability for Philippines in for the Philippines is almost ready. So a physical launch is being planned in both Malaysia and the Philippines sometime in the first quarter of 2023. And in the pipeline are South Africa, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Kazakhstan, and hopefully Azerbaijan. So if you're interested to be our local partner for this project, please contact us. For those of you with a deeper interest in the rankings, I highly recommend checking out the AppliedHE Private University Ranking ASEAN Showcase book, which contains ranking tables and overview of the methodology and ranking commentaries by some of our panelists, like Dr. Kevin Downing, Dr. Richard Holmes, as well as Professor Elizabeth Lee. You can download the ASEAN Showcase now from our rankings page on appliedhe.com. We will be producing a showcase for every one of our rankings, and the distribution of this publication is global, both online and hard copies. I've just introduced the rankings, and now to increase your global reputation, I'd like to introduce our various affordable branding strategies. For branding strategies, we are in the process of developing an AppliedHE super app, and we have right now Future. The first of its kind is an online networking platform created specially for the higher education sector. We also have an alumni CRM, so now you can keep track, manage, interact, and email your alumni from near and far of news and happenings of your institution anytime, anywhere, all backed up with data and all on one platform. Are you aware that everything you've ever wanted or need, like building your brand and reputation, students, funding, etc., you can get it all from your alumni, and we have the strategies to help you. Next, we have a news website called Extra Extra, now indexed by Google News. With this app, you can disseminate news and information about your university to your global peers and stakeholders, hence building your brand globally as well. So far, these 3 sub-apps are ready and have been launched, and it is a complimentary service for you. So it's in your best interest to take advantage of them. The next sub-app, still in development stage, is the Mobility and Exchange app. When this app is ready, it will be the perfect tool for your faculty, staff, and student mobility and exchange, be it on a national, regional, or international level. More sub-apps are in the pipeline, and they're all related to higher education, like universities, courses, student recruitment, summer schools, jobs, internships, scholarships, research, professional training, lifelong learning, and a whole lot more. Our aim is to provide a one-stop platform for all your higher education and beyond needs. Still under our branding strategies are our webinars and events. So we organize a bi-monthly Squaring the Circle debate, a highly entertaining debate that is delivered in an easy style. And alternating with Squaring the Circle debate is another webinar called the Fireside Chat, a serious yet fun and thought-provoking panel discussion. This is our 3rd year organizing these 2 signature webinars on a monthly basis. I sincerely hope you will attend as many episodes as you can. The two webinars are well attended by academic leaders from around the world, and they encourage social interaction between participants, albeit online. The next event is Squaring the Circle debate, and that is on the 2nd of November at 8 p.m. Singapore time, with the theme Unpaid Internships for Students Should Be Banned. Please join us for this lighthearted yet serious discussion. Do look out for our emailers. And now, with restrictions lifting everywhere, we have plans to organize physical events under the brand of Xchange. And this is really great for that personal touch and face-to-face networking experience. This is the end of my presentation. I hope you are as excited as we are creating all these new and innovative strategies for you. We are the new kid on the block, and we are confident we can help you with our innovative and creative strategies. So write to us if you have any questions or would like more information or even requests for demos. We're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So sorry. I forgot opening my camera mic. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much again. Now, we would like to move to the discussion panel. We have three prominent professors from education field. And now we are going to start with Professor Judy from England. Now the question is going to be to you, Mr. Professor, is about this there is one very interesting, right now is people are discussing the issues like instead of looking for a job security, graduates should now look for a job security. What's your comments on this issue? Is others should find a job or the university should guarantee the job place for them? What's your thought about this?
Thank you very much, Dr. Vassal, for that question. It's just to say before I attempt an answer, thank you very much for the invitation to be part of this webinar. It's wonderful to see Mandy and the fantastic AppliedHE team again, but it's wonderful to be here as well, talking to colleagues from Western Caspian University. What's an outstanding university. It was lovely to see your introduction earlier, and really impressed by who you are and what you've been doing. So it's fantastic to see you. I'm Judith Lammy, and I'm a Pro Vice Chancellor at Swansea University, which is in Wales. And I'm just going to talk for a few minutes in response to your question, Dr. Vassal, in terms of employability and about job security and job readiness. And I think a few of the points I'm going to make actually pick up on some of the points that Rector Baghirov mentioned, as well as a couple of the points that Mr. Nijat also mentioned, in his brief introduction. I think if we start initially in thinking about the role of a university, and indeed both of the previous speakers mentioned about the role of Mr. Nijat mentioned about what universities used to be like and what people would go for, what would they go to study, and why would they be there. And I think, not just because of COVID, but in partly because of COVID, the whole role and purpose and identity of a university has changed, has really developed and has shifted. And if a university changes, then those within it change, because to be really simple about it, a university is about the people within it. It's an education business. And so as universities are shaping and changing, so too must the students that are within them. Now, at its most simplistic, I think employability is about developing a set of skills, developing a set of attributes, developing a set of understandings, developing a set that would enable graduates, I think, to gain employment and to be more successful in the chosen occupation that they have decided upon. However, I'm also minded of the slide that Mandy put up a little while ago. Employment and occupations have changed a huge amount over the years. So, many years ago, your employment might have been that you wanted to work in a bank, and you wanted to work, you were doing accounting and finance, you wanted to work in a bank, and you wanted to do that for the rest of your life. Now, things have changed. I think, yes, you want a job, and students want a job, and they've got a right to have a job. They pay a lot for their education. But actually, I think we need to be providing them with the ability to get different types of jobs at different times in their lives. And that links in, I think, to the earlier point that was made not only by the rector, but also by the deputy minister in terms of actually the kind of skills that we need to be working with the students to develop. I think also another important point again that Rector Baghirov made was that employability itself helps universities to attract students, to attract, high quality students. and it very much gives them a competitive advantage, a competitive edge. But it isn't about just what a university does. And this gets on probably to answer your question a bit more fully, Dr. Vassal. Yes, universities will have career fairs. At Swansea University, where 93% of our graduates have employment, graduate employability on graduation. So we have career fairs where we bring in businesses and they meet with the students. We have various courses that the students can undertake, career development courses. We have ambassador schemes. We have alumni mentoring schemes. We have enterprise schemes. But I think what we also do is put some of that responsibility for gaining employment and finding employment on the student themselves. It isn't just that you come to university and the university magically will get you a job. Yes, it will help give you the tools. It will help develop that awareness. It will help give you, and I think this links into the rector's point, it will help give you some of those technical skills, but would also start to develop in you some of those softer skills, some of those skills that you learn by doing. You know, it develops your confidence. It develops your art of diplomacy, of your arts of networking and working with other individuals. But in order to do that, a student has to work hard. You can't be given that on a plate. You have to be there, you have to be proactive, and you have to do something yourself. And I think that's a really important part and a message that we need to be giving our students. Yes, as universities, we of course will be doing everything that we can to help you, to provide you with, you know, the skills that you need and the technical skills that you need, to provide you with that connection to business and industry. Although again, as Professor Bakirov mentioned, there can be a bit of a divide between universities and academia and business and industry. So also something universities try and do are bring those areas together. But my final point really is, what we try to do is to release that potential of students, to say to the students, we are here to support you and help guide you and help provide you with opportunity, help provide you with internships, help provide you with connections into businesses. But in return, you must be proactive. You must go out and find opportunities. You must take the opportunities that are presented to you as well. You must take that comfort zone that you might have, that might be like a circle, sometimes quite small. You must take that comfort zone and you must step outside it. That will make your comfort zone get larger. It will enable you to get other opportunities, and it will develop you as an individual and as a person. And that, I think, is the kind of people that business and industry want. Innovative, flexible, confident, entrepreneurial individuals that will help their industries go forward. That's what we're there, I think, to help with as universities. But we have to do that in partnership with students. And that means that students have to be active in that process. That's my final comment, Dr. Vassal.
Thank you very much. It was detailed. Now I want to give the floor to Professor Shatar, very experienced person in quality assurance from Malaysia. So, Professor, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to be the speaker. So, why the employability is such an important topic nowadays in terms of the scale of graduate employability in Malaysian accreditation system? Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Mandy. Thank you, AppliedHE, for giving me the opportunities and together with all the panel today to share with a very interesting and a significant topic about graduate employability. And also congratulations to Azerbaijan for working together with AppliedHE. Prior to answer this question, I would like to give a little bit comment on what Prof. Judy was saying. I like the word that she said when she was saying that the job of the university is basically to prepare the student with many skills so that they can face the uncertainty of the environment. So we are not preparing the student with just one skill or two skills. So the job of the university is basically we prepare as many as possible so that when they are leaving the university, they are ready to face any type of environment. So I think if we can do that, then we could solve a lot of problems. I know they have like some sort of culture and belief. I'm not sure what's happening in the other part of the world, but especially in this region, at the moment they're going to the university, their expectation is the university must somehow guarantee it or promise them a job before, right after they graduate from the university. But that's not true. I mean, like if we are doing that, it's going to be a very difficult job for the university. So that's why I think number one, that we need to understand the function of the universities and also the graduate employability that we are talking about. If you ask me, of course, I'm taking care of the quality of higher education in this country. We are managing about more than 500 universities, both public and private. And of course, it's not an easy thing to do. But again, in terms of the graduate employability, all the universities, regardless whether you are coming from the private or public universities, we got to make sure, even if we do not like it, I mean, I do not like to have the idea that, oh, this is my job to provide you a job. But again, the expectation from the student, the reason that I'm sending my kid to your university, because I want them to get a job. If I send my kid to your university and then at the end of the day, they will not get nothing. So why I need to send to you? So this is the dilemma that we are playing nowadays. But having that scenario, the universities still have a chance, still have a pathway to help the student. So what we are doing in Malaysia, of course, quality of higher education is no problem. It's no issue. We are being accepted by many countries in the world in terms of the quality of higher education. But that's not enough, because as what Dr. Prof. Judy was saying, and also the Prof. Rector was saying at the beginning, we need to prepare the student with many skills, especially the skill that needed by the industry, especially the skill that needed by the employer. And therefore, in Malaysia, we introduced the idea of 2U, 2I, meaning to say 2 years in the university and 2 years in the industry, so that they can have both knowledge, the one that they can gain from the professor at the university, but at the same time, they get the skills from the industry. And of course, I think Professor Hussein was talking about soft skill, and they have so many soft skills that we are talking about, like communication, team building, leadership, critical thinking, and so on. And of course, those things, they can get it in the university, but more importantly, they could get from outside industry and also employer. And of course, Judy was saying, in order to have those stuff, the student must be very active. I think that's why it's so important for a particular assessment agency, rating agency, like AppliedHE, to come up with an idea to include graduate employability as a significant indicators for the universities. I know I just came back from a discussion this morning in Kuala Lumpur, and then in the discussion, we just being informed QS, starting from next year, they said they're going to include graduate employability in the assessment, in the rating, but they only include 5%. For me, 5% is nothing. It's just like, what is 5%? So because we want to tell the public, we want to tell the world, if you come to my university, graduate employability with all the skill that we provide them is going to be like 30%, 50%, or even 100%. And I'm sure in the world, if we can come up with that ranking, and that is proven by the student of that particular university at the moment they're leaving or before they even left the university, people already start hiring them. Because of what? It's not because they are smart in terms of intellectual, but because of the skill. That's why in my speech, I always keep saying, at this particular time and the future, academic qualification will not guarantee you to get a job. The one that will help you to get a job, the thing that's beyond the academic skill. Academic qualification is just the basic, the thing that you must have, but it's not going to guarantee you to have a job, but you need to get an extra skill, like the one that been mentioned, soft skill, the one that you've been mentioned, the networking, collaboration, things like that. So all these things need to measure, need to show to the people. And I think that's why I think I always keep saying to many, thank you very much for coming up with this new area, new angle, so that we are opening the eyes to the world that, you know, if you want to send your kid to a particular university, you got to make sure that university somehow will provide a very promising career path once they left the university. So this is what, and of course, as I said at the beginning, accreditation, quality, at this particular time, I think all over the world, they're really concerned about the quality, but the quality itself or alone will not help them to get a job. I'm sure if you're studying, we make the comparison, you know, a student from Harvard and a student from XYZ universities, you know, academically, they're probably 4.0 CGPA, but in terms of the skill, that you could see a big difference between Harvard kids and other people kids. And therefore, people will choose Harvard. So again, in our case, we want to explore, we want to highlight graduate employability is one of them, because nowadays every people in the world, both parent and student, they really want to get a job before they left the university or after they left the university. So I think that's why graduate employability nowadays is so damn significant, and it's always going together with quality of that particular university. For me, no reason, no point if I have like having like H-index, Scopus, top 100 university in the world, top 10 university in the world, if I fail to produce students that get a job after that. My graduate employability is 0, and yet I want to declare to the world I'm the top 10 university in the world. I don't think it's good to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. So ranking companies will complain about you that no rankings will be taken into consideration. But anyway, I do agree with you, because I do believe in that the university should prepare students, most of their graduates, for the ready for the market. But still there is a problems, and I'm going to talk this with the Professor Rojen from the University of Europe from Germany, Chief Academic Officer. Hello, Professor Rojen, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation, for being the panelist. The question is that over the past 2 decades, organizations have been increasingly affected by the effects of globalization. Under the pressure of globalized economic competition, organizations in both developing and developing countries have undergone massive recruiting through layoffs, leading to job insecurity and emerging new career models. So what's your point about these new career models, about layoffs, about the decreasing the number of jobs because of globalization? What's your point of view?
Whilst I was listening to the previous speakers, whilst Judy was talking, my iPad told me that there's yet another person unemployed in the UK, and the Prime Minister resigned. I'm sure it had nothing to do with what you said, Judy, don't worry, but it's just purely coincidence, I'm sure. Maybe there should have been a link, but yes, job insecurity is there. It's a reality of the 21st century. It was also the reality of previous centuries. And actually, it depresses me when I speak with young people and their highest ambition is to become civil servant and get a job for life. Right? I once was a civil servant. I worked at a state university in the Netherlands, and I was a civil servant. I gave it up because I thought actually that's not really what one should want in life, ultimately, right? So yeah, maybe no jobs, but maybe more entrepreneurs, maybe more startups, right? And that's just also what I'm trying to say. First of all, globalization. Okay, is that something nasty or is this something good? Here I am, Dutch person, as you said, president of a German university, sitting at an American chain hotel at the Palm in Dubai, running a group of universities as well around the world, living in London, sitting at a Singaporean seminar, addressing colleagues in Azerbaijan. I wonder what that globalization is really about. Right, this is the reality, guys. Globalization is there, and anybody who thinks they can stop it, wake up. You can maybe delay it. You can, as a president of a country, try to delay it a little bit at big cost, but the reality is it's there. So let's not say whether it's good or it's bad. It's reality. And when we accept it as a reality, that means we need to prepare our students, our graduates, really to be successful in that reality. And yes, I completely agree that ultimately a lot of that responsibility lies with the students, but actually, let's also face the fact that a lot of that responsibility lies with the universities. They lie with us as educators. We cannot walk away with that. We cannot push that back to the students. If we do not educate our students in a way that they are really prepared for the new reality, we are failing as educators and we are failing as universities. So what does that mean? Well, it means, maybe I'll summarize it. I saw your slide, Mandy, with all these 22 and a rapidly increasing number of criteria. And so I'll simplify it to just 5 key criteria. And I think if those 5 criteria are not included at what the university is doing, you're actually failing your students, your graduates, right? So one, of course, has been stressed all the time. There's a massive amount of research which shows that there is no direct correlation between you being an academically gifted person and how successful you're going to be in your career and in your life. It's a bit shocking for universities to accept that, but there is no direct correlation. There is a direct correlation, though, with how skillful those students are. Are they prepared with the right kind of social skills? And what does that mean? It's not just that you know how to interact with a person. It means that you know how to interact with the world. In a globalized world, your skills need to be being comfortable with multicultural teams, being comfortable operating via a screen or in person with people from all over the world with different backgrounds, and not to feel that my culture is the best or my gender is the best or my religion is the best or whatever, but actually you treat everybody with respect. You have your ears open and you listen. And you respectfully listen and you understand that people come from different cultures and they have something to bring to the table, and you're a team worker. I'm actually not sure many of our universities really see this as a primary task in their education, but it should be. If a university doesn't actually educate people who are comfortable working in multicultural teams, in modern media, etc., I think you're failing your graduates. It's as simple as that. And you cannot push that back to the students. It is definitely a responsibility of universities to do that. Of course, the other thing is talking about skills, the digital skills. Like, as you can see from my gray hair, a little bit some time ago since I studied, but when I studied, in the 1970s, I would go to the university building where they housed the university computer, which probably was less powerful than my iPad. And I made sure that I knew how to do Fortran and I knew how to write a program, etc. I didn't know that the digital revolution was coming, but I did realize that if I do not understand how a computer works, I got a problem, disregarding what I'm going to do in my life. Are we as universities really preparing students properly for the digital transformation which is happening at the moment? Right? It is as important as the Industrial Revolution was. It's going to have as much impact. It has already so much impact on our lives, on our cities, on our work. We cannot afford to just do this as an elective somewhere. Like, this has to be at the core of our curriculum. So that's number 2. Then we need to have T-shaped students. We all know this, and it's been said a moment ago as well. Yes, students need to know, be confident about the knowledge of about the field, but if they do not actually also confident to be the broader context, when they are not confident in working with completely different disciplines, they are not going to be very successful in the 21st century, because there is something happening in the society. In the past, we needed specialists. You just needed to know everything that we needed to know on this, and then we would push the boundaries. Now, we recognize that this compartmentalized thinking is not effective in addressing the big issues we have to address in the world. We cannot solve big problems with one discipline. The professor of whatever might believe he can solve all the problems within his discipline. Actually, he doesn't. If he thinks that, he's not very good at his job. You cannot solve the big issues. And it's like with teamwork, you have to be able to be comfortable with people who come from completely different backgrounds. So yes, you need to work with maybe someone from a technical background, but you also need to work with someone with a finance background. And companies, government, everybody is struggling. You know, what happened in COVID shows this wasn't a medical problem. It wasn't a political problem. It wasn't an economic problem. It was everything. And you have to address everything. You have to be comfortable. You can address all that. And our students need to be comfortable with that. Otherwise, they're not prepared for being successful in the 21st century. So part of the, and you made the explicit point on that as well, is actually accepting that students don't just learn in the classroom. They don't learn by just reading books and listening to professors. They have to develop themselves. They have to experience education. They need to be helped in experiencing the education in a good way. They need to understand what reflective learning is. They need to go into companies as a student and already make that link between theory and practice, and realizing that you don't have a classroom here and a workplace there, but actually they are almost interconnected. And sometimes you focus a bit more on the conceptual learning, and sometimes you focus a bit more on the practical learning, and you need to bring that together. If you don't make that connection between the classroom and the workplace, you're going to struggle when you graduate. You're really going to struggle. So it is a responsibility for a student, a university, to embrace that. And of course, I'm also co-chairman of the World Association for Cooperative and Work Integrated Learning. I keep on saying I cannot actually see a quality education without a student being able to go outside the classroom, whether it's going to study abroad or whether it's going to get placements or ideally both. You know, it's just not preparing a student properly if you don't do that. But I go one step further. Besides work integrated learning, there's also learning integrated work. Economies are moving to knowledge economy. And a company cannot be successful. An individual cannot be successful, but a company, or even a country, cannot be successful unless it embraces also learning integrated work. In other words, recognizing that a student isn't just for graduation, a student is for life. And that is a big change to what universities do, because at the universities at the moment, they are in their own comfort zone. They're in their own compartments. I deal only with school leavers, and then I give them a piece of paper and no longer my responsibility. Bye-bye, off you go. And by the way, if you really get successful, remember who made you successful and write a nice check for us and give us a nice donation, right? That's how we treat alumni. It's actually appalling when we do that. A student isn't just for graduation. A student is for life. Companies have to be partners in the education already when they are students, like in Germany with the dual system and so on. But companies actually at an early stage identify talent, support the talent, and even finance those students through employment whilst they are studying. And universities have to change, and we actually accept that education doesn't stop at a certain age, but they have to stay with them. Learning integrated work, a partnership of government, employers, and the universities. And then last but not least, what really makes students successful, what makes our graduates successful, is actually not because they studied, let's say, accountancy and get a job as accountants, right? Because that's great for employability, by the way, offer a very professional education. Don't do things like liberal arts and so on, because people have much more problems to get into a job, which of course is nonsense. Research has shown that people who've done something like liberal arts actually ultimately get much more successful in their career than the accountant, because you are going beyond your profession if you're really good. So you actually often end up in much more senior positions. So we also have to be careful how we measure employability. But the most important thing is what we can give our students is confidence and creativity, both confidence and creativity, and they go closely together. And what I mean by that is, if you want to be successful as a student, you have to, as was said earlier, go outside your comfort zone. Yeah. If you want to be entrepreneurial, you better know how to take risks. You should not be afraid to take risks, but you need to know how to take calculated risks. That means that as educators, we have to teach the students how to take risks. We also mean we have to tell them how to fail. And that failure isn't a bad thing. And that having weaknesses is not a bad thing. We actually have to teach students, be fine, fail, learn from it. Why did you fail? And what did you learn from it? Failure should be part of the curriculum. Actually, most universities present failure as something very negative. It's the worst thing you can do to your students, and you create the wrong kind of graduates. We really have to have an education which stimulates confidence and creativity, because with confidence and creativity, you get disruption, good disruption. And Andy, you're absolutely right. I noticed what you said. It's good disruption, not bad disruption. You create good disruption. You create successful entrepreneurs. You take people who happily, go around the world and try their opportunity on the other side of the world as well, etc. In order to do that, you need to have confidence and creativity, unconventional thinking, having been at the university, which actually appreciates that. And I think that is our biggest duty as educators. Right? I hear music now, which is probably the signal that I should stop talking and hand over back to you. But I try to simplify it. It's very complex material. It's super important material. I try to simplify it in 5 simple points. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your comments and your recommendations. And thank you. Thank you. It was very beneficial. Now, I would like to give the floor to Peter Stake. He's a chief analysis in this applied higher education. Now he's going to present an presentation on an introduction to applied higher education ranking and rating systems. Please, Peter, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just trying to share my slide. Hang on. And it's not working as planned. Wait, here we go. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the time. And also, it's very nice listening to all the speeches of the participants. Because they actually all tie into what I want to be talking about, which is, AppliedHE's ranking and rating system, where we try and address some of these important issues that have been mentioned about employability. Now, I'll briefly talk about actually our ranking, which is the private university ranking for ASEAN and the Asia Pacific region. And also to explain, especially for this audience, the methodology, which we hope really addresses the things that students and educators and governments and just members of society find important. So the question is always, what makes a university good? And I think if we've listened to tonight's audience, it's many different things, but an important part of it is, can I get a job or can I create a job? I mean, the employability question. And that is something that we really focus on. Now, also as mentioned already by some of the speakers, the evaluation tool that a university chooses is closely related to their mission, right? You want to be evaluated based on something that you truly believe in. And for many, especially many private universities, and I would argue most institutions of higher learning in the world, that ultimately is employability. You prepare students for the job market. You guide them through that process. So we've had the private university ranking ASEAN since 2022. And then in 2023, we will also launch the Asia Pacific ranking. This is some of the results from last year for ASEAN, which we're very happy with. And here's the ranking advisory board. And if you take a quick peek, you might see 2 familiar faces who you've just seen on the panel. So we're very grateful for their support. So it's important to note that the methodology that AppliedHE has is it's created. Essentially, it's heavily advised by these academics. It's not we make it, it's independently decided. And of course, there's often a reality check. Academics might want to measure everything, and we have limited budget. But we have a nice discussion about it, and we hopefully come up with a solid methodology that still measured something very important. Now, for this new private university ranking that we are running, yeah, these are the countries that we cover, and it covers private universities that award at least a bachelor or a master degree. And here are the criteria. And so the largest criteria for us is teaching and learning, which is essentially the student experience. Are you having a good time? Are you learning things at university? And then the second thing we look at is employability. Now, thirdly, we look at research, but we do so from a very broad lens. We don't look at, let's say, only Web of Science or Scopus. We actually look at Google Scholar, which, if you're familiar in this field, is a much, much broader database. It includes many more local language publications. So we think it's far more suitable, especially again for private universities. And we also look at community outreach, internationalization, and then institutional reputation. Now, if you go by the criteria, for us, employability is 15%. And then teaching and learning, of course, the largest percentage, coming in at 40, research 15, and then the other one's a bit smaller. And we think this more closely mirrors what a student actually thinks is important in their university experience. So that is what this reasoning is based on, and this weightage. Now, the data, as I mentioned, we actually run student surveys to get data about student satisfaction, about the student experience. And universities that want to participate need to run our surveys. So I think we probably run, or are soon running, one of the largest student surveys in the world, I would think, because we're getting more and more universities joining. So it's really a piece of research that we're very proud of. And along that, we look at the bibliometrics from Google Scholar. And of course, we also verify the data through an interval sampling audit. Now, we're not aware of any other ranking agency that does that, but we do this. We do audit some institutional data based on a sampling audit to just make sure that it's correct, to double check all those numbers. Now, this is the ranking timeline. Actually, if you're a member, if you work for a private university and you're attending, you can still join. It's still possible to register on our website, and I'll share the address in a little while. So this is our ranking timeline. If you can still join now, but you have to be a little bit quick. And then in January, February, March of next year, we will be releasing the results of the ranking. So that will be very exciting. Now, doing a ranking has many benefits for a university. It's a way for promotion. We have a ranking event launch. There's a showcase book. We get very healthy media exposure for a ranking. So there's many benefits for doing it, and also getting this benchmarking data. So you get all of these promotional tools. Yeah, this slide I think is important to touch on. We actually provide every university that does our ranking with a free benchmarking report, so that you can see how do you perform against your peers. And especially given the student surveys we do, and also the employability data, I think that's a very, very interesting tool for many of the institutions that we deal with. And we also offer ratings. I've just been talking about the rankings, but the ratings is a big part of what we do as well. So we have our ranking, which of course gives you an idea of global standing. I mean, where do you stand in the world? But our ratings are actually based on local stakeholders. What do you contribute locally? And your local context often influences where you have your global standing, right? You could be very important university in your local ecosystem, yet you might not do as well in these global rankings. That is a possibility. But actually our rankings and ratings look at more or less the same items. We look at teaching and learning, employability, as mentioned, research, community engagement, internationalization, and institutional reputation. But the ratings look at it in far, far more details, gives you much more understanding about your students and also your alumni. because we survey your alumni. So it's a 360-degree perspective on students, faculty, alumni, and employers. We think it's very relevant because it focuses on careers, learning, and community and industry collaboration, which we think is the basis on which you should evaluate higher education. But surprisingly, it isn't always the basis of evaluating. These are our main rating criteria, as you can see. So we look at outcomes, delivery, and also the quality of the institution. And that approach you may have seen in other quality management literature, such as the EFQM, for those of you who are into this area. It closely matches, and some universities have adopted this as their quality management system. There's also quite some overlap with the Sustainable Development Goals. We don't think a university addresses all Sustainable Development Goals, but we can definitely give you benchmarking and insight into these 6 ones, which we think are by far the most important. And then finally, we focus on your stakeholders. So we give you a stakeholder perception index so that you can benchmark how your different stakeholders perceive you. And of course, if there are discrepancies there, that is a strong guide for your communication strategy going forward. So we often see, for instance, that the alumni perception is a bit different from the rest of the university. And that is a clear indication that there is more communication needed there. And that again fits with the comments. So the data that we use, again, is surveys. We basically ask the people that know the institution best, some external data from Google, and minimal institutional data. Now, I think as a user, this means that you get very independent source of data. And as the institution, you don't have to submit a huge amount. You don't have to prove anything to us, right? We were not doing another audit. There are other services that will make you do another accreditation. We don't do that. But instead, we give you an opportunity to learn more about your institution by doing all these surveys. Again, these are the employment clusters, which I think Mandy already previewed. We see the employment clusters as a communication tool. So you can self-identify where your programs belong, and then we give you the evaluation on that basis. So why should you consider the job ready rating? Well, as noted, there is an employability crisis. A university degree is no longer that guarantee. We think that our new rating, although it's new, it's also gave us a blank slate to really produce something that is best in class, I think, in almost every way that you look at it. And I think especially for applied universities that are not research heavy, this is by far the best solution for them. So in closing, if you are considering the ranking, well, we think you should consider ours because it's voluntary participation, right? We don't just take your data and rank you against your will. You need to register with us. But that, I think, creates a much more collaborative, much more happy relationship. And we hope that you do, because we think the criteria are more relevant, especially for private universities. It offers you an opportunity for peer benchmarking. I think more than half of the institutions that we've been ranking have never been ranked before. So the peer benchmarking aspect was one of the big things for them. The saying sometimes goes, if you are ranked, you exist. That's a little bit true. So take advantage of it. And there's no charge. So we collect data from you. We give all your data back. I think it's a really good deal. You don't get this kind of institutional research for free from anybody. And finally, yes, small technical points. We can translate surveys. So if you're worried about the language, maybe you want it in Arabic or some other language, we can do that. We also realize that we're new, so please promote us to your colleagues as well. And obviously consider a sponsorship or even the job ready rating, which is completely compatible with the ranking. So you can sign up for the rating and then you get the ranking data is already in it as well. All right, so this URL, AppliedHE.org, is the URL for the ranking. So go there and quickly sign up if you're still interested to participate. And of course, you can email us with any questions. Thank you so much for your time. And I hand the floor back to Dr. Voussal.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you. It was very informative. Like other events or webinars, we also just have come to the end of this event. Now, I would like to give the floor to the founding president, rector of Western Caspian University, Professor Hüseyin Bagırov, for closing remark. Please, Hüseyin.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all panelists for wonderful speeches and the talks and responses to questions. It really was touched quite sharp and important issues. And even I can, if I allow to add a couple of words on these talks. It's one of issues which we probably have to keep in mind is how sincere are universities and students or alumni in their relations with industry. We were talking about what kind of skills they need to have, what is proportion between academic and applied knowledges, etc. Many universities are proud to give students soft skill courses like how to get positive impression from interview, how to write a good CV. In fact, it made many employers a little suspicious because instead of having someone with already declared qualities, they get just someone who is able to leave impression better than he is in reality. So, and by the way, naturally, industry gets immunity against that, and it weakens position of universities in the end. Probably what, from experience of our own university, I can tell it, what we need to do, we need just to gradually change philosophy of approach in our educational process, because many thousand years, humanity already invented phenomena like education. Even caveman was teaching youngsters how to survive, and whatever tribal man was telling to people of his tribe was about how they can survive, what they have to know for their well-being. And it was enough. And if you compare with the 20th century or even 21st century majority of university or school education, they not changed its philosophy. All of them are teaching students what they know. But in fact, easy to prove that there is no professor who knows in own subject, own area of research more than Cloud does. So no way for students to sit and listen what professors know, to go to world, industry, real life, and compete effectively. Probably now we need to teach students how to see problems of sector where in future they will land, will start to live their life. How to get information which can let them to understand essence of this problem and sort it out. And if you compare pictures from internet of caveman's school where people sitting around fire and attentively listening elderman, and school in modern days when students sitting and attentively watching mouths of professor, you will see subconsciously it is identical philosophy based on it. Maybe we need to establish teams at university to teach students how to work in team. We need to let them to use any resource which normally they take with them for examination and hide in many absolutely impossible to imagine places. And we need to let them to get all this stuff with them and just let them to give them just task. Go pick for information, see how they can sort it out, come back with solution. It can help probably them to be much more competitive in industry. Now I want to stop overusing chance to finalize this webinar, and I want to thank our partners. Thanks to all panelists for fantastic contribution. I see many of our university teachers are taking part. I'm attentively sitting in some rooms, 3-4 of them in the front of a computer, talking about this, what we were discussing here. Thanks very much, and it's beginning. I hope it will have continuation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Hüseyin Bagurov. Now the floor goes to the Mendy Mo. Please, Mendy, the floor is yours.
Thank you everyone for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed the presentations and discussions and find the information useful. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers for their insightful discussions, the host university, Western Caspian University, Professor Hussein Bagirov for his great support, and Dr. Vusal Karimli, who not only initiated this exchange, but also moderated it. Thank you very much, Professor Bagirov and Dr. Vusal. And of course, big thanks to you, the audience, for taking the time to join us today. We strongly believe that AppliedHE is the right fit for universities in Azerbaijan. So please respond to the email messages that will be sent out after this webinar, especially the invitation for all Azerbaijan private universities to join the AppliedHE private university ranking. And of course, we look forward to working with all of you and visiting Azerbaijan very soon. Although this marks the end of this webinar, I hope to see all of you soon online, of course, at our next webinar, and also the last Squaring the Circle debate for the year with the theme Unpaid Internships for Students Should Be Banned on the 2nd of November at 8 p.m. Singapore time. See you all soon, and thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.